Good morning. This is Michelle Thompson with Resistant Vision Coaching and Consulting. How have you felt after this week? I ask this because when we're in these last 3 weeks of the year, things really ramp up and they feel really hard, right? It's hard to be able to sort out what are your priorities and what are other people's priorities, other people's problems. Um, and as a result, it gets really hard to center what you want for yourself, to center pleasure in your life. And this could be the simple pleasures of really enjoying that espresso that you order every morning, like instead of gulping it down to really taste it, um, to the other things that we normally associate with pleasure. So I think it's important to tap on this occasionally, because when we're working in intense industries such as law or academia, one of the first things we might have entered it out of a sense of joy and pleasure, but that's one of the first things that gets sucked out of what we do. And that's not right. And this time of year doesn't do anything to help with that. So let's tap on it. Before we get going, I want to let you know that in no way or form is EFT to take the place of if you're diagnosed with ADHD, with depression or anxiety. This is not to take the place of it. It can be a really lovely supplement to whatever medical treatments you're receiving, but don't use this as a substitute. If the words take full responsibility for what happens here, if the words don't work for you, use your own and make it your own. This tool works when it's bespoke. And yeah, all you have to do is not follow along with the locations. I'm calling them out so you know where to tap, but to repeat the phrases if you're in a position where you can do it. If you can't, just keep them in your mind. So we'll start by tapping on the side of the hand. Even though this week was really hard, there were so many things. And I don't know where I fit in all of it. I just go with the flow. And the flow doesn't work for me. And I'm open to the possibility that this can shift. Still tapping on the side of the hand. Even though this week was hard, there's so many things. Many of them aren't my priorities. I end up going with the flow. And I lose myself in all of it. And I'm open to the possibility that this can shift. It's still on the side of the hand. Even though this week was hard, there are so many things. Many of them aren't my priorities. I just go with the flow, and it's not working out for me. And I'm open to the possibility that this can shift. We'll start tapping on the top of the head. Go with the flow. Tapping on your eyebrows. I've been going with the flow. Tapping on the side of the eye. I've been going with the flow. Tapping underneath the eyes. Going with the flow. Tapping above the lip. Going with the flow. Tapping above the chin. Going with the flow. Tapping on the collarbones. Going with the flow. Underneath the arm. Going with the flow. And back to the top of the head. Going with the flow. Take a deep breath in and out. Take a moment and notice, is the tension from the week stored anywhere in your body? Is it in your neck, your chest, your head, your hips, your feet, whatever, your hip? Just see if you actually store that stress somewhere in your body. That's important information. Right now, my back feels a little bit tired, right? It's a sign that that's where stress is stored. So we're going to do this next round on where that is stored. I'm going to tap on the little something on the right side of my back. But if that's not where you're feeling it, say it. You insert the words of where you're feeling it, over my neck, whatever. Even though this week was really hard, it's very stressful, and the right side of my back is a little stiff, I'm open to the possibility that this can shift. Still tapping on the side of the hand. Even though this week was really hard, my back is a little stiff. It's kind of stressful. And I'm open to the possibility that this can shift. It's still on the side of the hand. Even though this week was really hard, very stressful. It left me with some stiffness in my back. I'm open to the possibility that this can shift. We'll start tapping on the top of the head. The stiffness in my back. Eyebrows. The stiffness in my back. Side of the eye. The stiffness in my back. Underneath the eyes. The stiffness in my back. Above the lip. The stiffness in my back. Above the chin. The stiffness in my back. If you're yawning, it's a good thing. It just means energy's moving. Collarbones. The stiffness in my back. Underneath the arm. The stiffness in my back. On top of the head. The stiffness in my back. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. All right, my back feels better. If you can believe it, it's much, much better. Something loosened. It's a sign that I was carrying my stress there. I don't know where you might have tapped, but notice how it feels now, right? That's probably a sign that things have loosened. I want you to use the first 2 rounds of these as many times as you need to. And I'm going to end with something more positive. I don't normally do that so quickly because when I work with clients, I like to really clear out the negative, horrible stuff before tapping. Otherwise, the positive affirmation-ish kind of stuff doesn't really sit. But let's I'll end with that, right? Let's talk about our pleasure. Even though this week was really hard, I'm committing this weekend to do something that brings me pleasure. And I totally love and accept myself. Still on the side of the hand. Even though this week was really hard, I'm committed to using this weekend to find my pleasure. And I totally love and accept myself. Still on the side of the hand. Even though this week was really hard, I'm completely committed to finding my pleasure this weekend. And I completely love and accept myself. Tapping on the top of the head. I'm committed to finding my pleasure this weekend. Eyebrows. I'm committed to finding my pleasure this weekend. Side of the eye. I'm committed to finding my pleasure this weekend. Underneath the eye. I'm committed to finding my pleasure this weekend. Above the lip. I'm committed to finding my pleasure this weekend. Above the chin. I'm committed to finding my pleasure this weekend. Collarbones. I'm committed to finding my pleasure this weekend. Underneath the arm. I'm committed to finding my pleasure this weekend. Back to the top of the head. I'm committed to finding my pleasure this weekend. Take a deep breath in and exhale. If that last one really didn't land, really go back and clear out what the stress, just the general. This has been hard, and if it's relevant, figure out where that is in your body and keep tapping on that. As it moves around, you can tap on those different locations. So I'm going to start my webinars for lawyers again in January. And so if you go to my bio, you will find my link tree there, and you can click on there and figure out where to register for the webinar. I hope to see you there, and have a wonderful weekend. Take care.